Okay, in this video, we're going to cover fractions for the GED Math Preparedness test. So we're going to start with our first problem on the next slide. All right, for this example, we want to convert 0.243 or 243 thousandths from a decimal to a fraction. Okay, so this is going to be simple. We're going to look at the amount of places that comes after the decimal point right here. There's 3. Okay, so that means you want to write a 1 with 3 zeros, giving you 1,000 for the denominator, and then, oops, you want to put the 243 on top. Okay, so that's how you convert that into a decimal. Another example that's similar to this is 0.67. Let's convert that into a decimal or into a fraction. So again, we have 2 places that comes after the decimal point. So we're going to place 2 zeros after the 1, and then we're going to put 67 on top. And that's how you convert that decimal into a fraction. All right. All right, the next thing we're going to do is take our fraction 1/8, and we want to convert that into a decimal. Okay, so what you're going to do is just take your 1 and divide it by 8. And this is also the same thing as saying 1.000 and divide that by 8. And then if you take your calculator and do that, you're going to get 0.125. Same thing if we were to do 1 over 4 or 1/4. You're going to take 1 divided by 4, which is equal to 1.000 divided by 4, which is going to give you 0.25. So this is how you take a fraction and then convert that into a decimal. I do want to say that an easier way to simplify this fraction multiplication is to cancel out. So what you're going to do is look at your 9 and your 3, right? You can see that 3 does go into 9 3 times. So you'll cross out your 3, replace that with 1, and then cross that with 9. 9 divided by 3 is equal to 3. So you did 9 divided by 3 is equal to 3, and 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1. And that's how you solve 3 times 4 over 5 times 1. And again, you're going to get 12 over 5. The next thing that we're going to work on is adding your fractions. So what we're going to do is add 3 over 4 plus 4 over 6. What you want to do first is figure out how to get your common denominator, okay? So what multiples of 4 and what multiples of 6 are the same? So you'll get 4. Let's start with the first denominator. You have 4, and then you add another 4, you're going to get 8, then 12, then 16, then 20. Starting with 6, you're going to get 6, then 12, and then we can stop right there because we noticed that they both have 12 in the denominator. The thing is, we want to make sure we change both of our denominators to 12, right? So if we do 4 times 3, that's going to give us 12 on the bottom, but whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So then we want to do 3 times 3, that would give us 9. So that would give us 9 over 12. For us to get 6 to 12, you multiply that by 2. Again, we have to do whatever we did on the bottom to the top. So you're going to take 4 and multiply that by 2, and that's going to give you 8 over 12. Okay, so now you just add them together. you're only going to add the numerator and keep the denominator the same. So you say 9 plus 8, that's going to give you 17 over 12. And then sometimes, depending on your organization or teacher or facility that you're taking your test with, you can either leave your answer like this or make it into a mixed number. Making it into a mixed number is simply pulling out the 12 out of the top. So how many times is 12 going to 17? One time. And how many pieces do you have left over to get to 17? 17 minus 12 is equal to 5. So you would write 5 over 12. And that would be your final answer. All right, the next thing we're going to do is divide fractions. So dividing this fraction is super easy. I'm going to tell you how. Whenever you have a division sign, all you want to do is flip the second fraction and change your division sign to a multiple sign. So just like this, you're going to change this into 6 over 5 times, oops, get right, times 25 over 24. Now, before we go further, we want to figure out if anything can be crossed out. Does 6 go into 24? Yes, 6 times 4 is equal to 24. So we want to divide 6 by 6. We're going to get 1. 24 divided by 6 is equal to 4. Now what about 5 and 25? Yes, 5 goes into 25 5 times. So 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1. 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5. So now you just get 1 over 1, or just 1, and multiply that by 5 over 4. And that would give you your final answer of 5 over 4. The next thing we're going to do is add multiple fractions together. This is super simple because you don't have to do anything to the denominator. They all have 11 in the denominator. So what you're going to do is simply take 5 and add 7, add 9, then 3, and put all of that over 11. And what you're going to get is 24 divided by 11. Okay? And that is your final answer for this problem. All right, this one we're going to take it up a notch. We're going to say that, let's say you have $13.85 in nickels, dimes, and quarters. I'm sorry about the writing, but the way the screen and my pen is just out of this world. All right, so you have $13.85 in nickels, dimes, and quarters. If you have 47 nickels, how many dimes do you have? So first thing first is to figure out how much money you have in nickels. So what you're going to do is take 47 and multiply that by 5 cents. And that's going to give you $2.35. Okay? But since you have $13.85, how much do you have remaining in dimes? So you want to subtract 235 from 1385. And that's going to equal 1150. Okay? So you can have 1150 in both dimes and quarters. But because we're only trying to figure out the dimes, okay, so let's say you have your $11.50. So what you want to do is just take a number. Let's start off with 64 dimes. And we know 64 dimes, multiply that, okay, right, 64 times 10 cents is going to give us $6.40. That means we have to take the remainder, which is 1150 minus 640, which is equal to $5.10. And now we want to divide that by the amount of a quarter. So that means, 0.25 is going to be 20.4. That doesn't make sense because you can't have 20.4 quarters. It's either you have 20 quarters or you're going to have 21 quarters. So this is wrong. So let's try with 65. So 65 is going to be 65, multiply that by 10 cents, and that's going to give you 650. So again, you do 1150 minus 650, and that's going to give you $5. And then you take that $5 and divide that by 25, and that's going to give you 20. And that's a whole number. So you know that you can have 20 quarters. But your final answer has to be for your dimes, which is going to be the 65 dimes. And that's how you know that with this problem, you have the 65 dimes, the 47 nickels, and the 20 quarters. All right, the next thing we're going to do is take a number, a whole number, and divide it by a fraction. But what you want to do is take all unlike signs, such as this negative sign, and then you want to make it where you have no decimals. You want to have the absolute values, okay? So what you're going to do is change this from negative 42, take your negative out, and simply say 42 divided by 0.07, okay? But then you don't like this decimal. Decimals are ugly, so you want to get rid of it. In order to get rid of this decimal, you have to move it over 2 times to get 7. Whatever you do, whatever you do to this right here, you also have to do to this first number. So you will have to move the decimal point over 2 times, and that's going to give you 2 extra zeros. So then you're going to have 4200 and divide that by 7. Okay? And then mind you, we still have our negative sign out front. Okay? And what's that going to give you? You get negative 4200 divided by 7, or if you say 42 divided by 7, that's going to be 6, and then you have your remaining zeros. So your answer is simply negative 600. All right, for this example, we're going to do a little word problem. So basically, each student has to take up one of 3 languages. A third of them choose to take up Swahili, 2/5 of them wants to take up Hausa, and then we try to figure out how many of them took up Yoruba. So what you want to do is figure out how much of this, if you add them all together, is going to equal 1. So simply 1 is going to be equal to 1 over 3 plus 2 over 5 plus x. Okay? So first thing we want to do is make sure we have the same denominator, even for 1 over 1. So what would be the common denominator for all of these? So 3, you have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. For 5, you have 5, 10, 15. So it's essentially you want to get everything to equal 15. Starting with 1 over 1, what do we have to do to make the bottom one 15? We have to multiply 1 by 15, and whatever we do at the bottom, we have to do to the top. So you're going to have 15 over 15, and that's going to equal the rest of the equation. So how do we get 3 to equal 15? You multiply that by 5. So you're going to say 1 times 5, that's equal to 5. And then 3 times 5, that's equal to 15. How do you get 5 to equal 15? You multiply that by 3. So you say 2 times 3, that's equal to 6. And then 5 times 3 is equal to 15. And you still have your remaining variable, which is how many of the students took the Yoruba. So next thing is we're going to try to get all of this onto the other side of the equal sign. So you're going to have 15 over 15 minus 5 over 15 minus 6 over 15. And that will equal your remaining fraction of the students that took Yoruba. So 15 minus 5 minus 6 over 15 is going to equal 4 over 15. So 4/15 of the students took Yoruba.